So, Daniel, do you want to unmute yourself? Good. For all of you who don't know, Dania is now a formal member of the board.
I'm not, because I haven't been sworn in.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So I need one more person to
Exactly. I'm not a
I'm short
quorum.
one for an agenda for a quorum. Then all right, let's wait a bit.
It's all, town hall is only open on Tuesday and Thursday. I did not know that. I went there on a Monday or a Wednesday, and I have not been able to go back. So
Okay.
I will do that, but I just couldn't manage it.
We're glad you're so close to that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm close enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's good.
If you call the town hall first, we're open 5 days a week. It's just the doors are locked. So you can call and the town clerk is here. She can sign you in any day. Just give
I
her a
did
call.
not, if I'd known that, I would have been sworn in. I just didn't know it. So sorry.
Now we have, hello, Brian.
Hey, good
Brian.
morning, everybody.
Now we have our quorum. Okay, so the meeting is officially underway. Welcome to Dania, who will be next month a formal member of the board, but has not been sworn in. So that's where we stand. So the first item on the agenda is the minutes of the January 19 meeting, which I have read and sound fine, but do I hear a motion to approve as written?
I so move.
Evelyn, and a second?
Second.
Second, and Brian, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Those have been passed. Okay, the next item is the director's report from Suzanne or Terry. I see both names up there. Ah, there she is. Hello, Suzanne.
Good morning. We're going along. Tai Chi started again yesterday. We had 2 very well-attended classes. Jeff has some instructions on how to manage the air purifiers that the friends purchased for the big room, and also spoke to me about the need to change the filters once a year. So I'm going to look into that today. According to Jeff, if you do it on automatic order, you save 50%. So that's a good thing. We are continuing with our grab and go lunches through the end of March, at least. I'm hoping that if we start in-person lunches in April, that people will feel safe enough to come into the building and actually eat lunch in the building. For those people who do not attend the exercise classes and who we do not see on a regular basis, this is our best way to interact with folks and see how they're moving and how they seem on a weekly basis. So I'm looking forward to getting in-person luncheons back. I had a meeting yesterday by Zoom with my liaison on the finance committee, and we talked about the budgets. And the COA budget is pretty much straightforwardly level funded with a few tweaks here and there. So the finance committee did not raise any red flags about that, which is good. The capital budget includes the money for the feasibility study for all the bells and whistles that different people and different groups have been talking about for the adult community center, the gym space, the extra meeting room, and improved television capacity so that they can do hybrid meeting filming at the adult community center. And of course, my personal favorite is the walkway through the woods. And now that the recreation department has taken on the responsibility for the toddler playground, That's another part of it. So there's a lot of things going on at once. And I did apply for money for the feasibility study because I don't want, if they get put in one at a time, which is totally likely. I don't want one to be put in to the detriment of doing the others in the future. So that's what's going on. Staff wise, we haven't had anybody out with COVID for the last 6 weeks. So that's really good. And I just got notice this morning that the state finally figured out what they were doing and have awarded the formula grant. It's based on the population age 60 and over in the town, and they're still using the 2010 census. So we lost a lot of money this year, but I assume that next year it'll be based on the 2020 census. But we shall see. Knowing the Commonwealth, things take a while. And I think that's about it for new events. Any questions? Oh, and I know Lillian from the Friends has been working hard on the sign, and we'll be bringing prices to the Friends, and we'll talk about installation, construction, and the 3 additional signs that need to be created at that time.
Could you, Suzanne, repeat what you said about the water thing for the minutes? I didn't catch that.
The water thing?
Didn't you say something about the
The air.
census?
I'm sorry, what is?
Your comment about the census and the money, what was that
Oh,
about?
yes. Annually, all councils on aging in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts are awarded a grant, a per capita grant for residents age 60 and over, and it's based on the most recent census, except this year they still basing it on the 2010 census. And if they had based it on the 2020 census, our numbers have increased about 45% since 2010. So we lost out on that 45% additional numbers. I'm not sure why they're not using the 2020 census.
Thank
Laura?
you.
You're welcome.
Laura?
I wondered on that topic, what that money is utilized for, you know?
Traditionally, it pays for about half of Mary Ann's salary.
Okay, all right. Can I also ask, you had mentioned something about nobody in the last 6 weeks and the staff has been out with COVID. Has anybody on the staff over the course of this been out for COVID?
Oh, COVID, I shouldn't say for having COVID, for being COVID exposed
Okay,
and having to self-isolate.
okay. Can I ask too? I've got just a couple more. Can I get you on all of them in one fell swoop? Is that okay?
If it's all right with the chair, sure.
It's fine.
I was wondering, quite a while back, at least 12 months, maybe even longer, we had a discussion, and to be honest, I don't remember if it was in the Friends or if it was on the COA board or maybe in both boards. And that was about a particular grant that you were going to be writing that would be submitted in the fall. The discussion was in the spring, and that grant would cover the cost of at least for plans for that walking path. And I think it was the same grant that the information came out on recipients in the fall in the Independent. And I know that the elementary school got a nice chunk of change for a new playground, which was wonderful. But I wonder about, that applying for grant monies to at least get started on the planning, because anything that you do through town government, which is a bureaucracy, it takes a lot of time to do. And if we could jumpstart it with grant money, that would be a big help. I think that's something that's really needful in the community, and it would draw people to the adult community center too. It would get a lot of use, and I just think it's a really nice multi-age activity too. So I was just curious about that.
That grant and I don't remember when we talked about it in the Friends or the board either, to tell you the truth. That's a CPC, the Community Preservation Committee. And
Yeah.
because of the financial issues, they weren't accepting applications in this last round. They are funding 2 years ago applications at this upcoming town meeting in April. So now that they're accepting grants again, because their funds were in one of the fund balance questions that the auditors and the financial people were trying to straighten out. So they knew exactly how much money they had. So that now that that's straightened out, we can definitely put in. I would still put in for planning funding, because if I put in, my concern is if we put the walkway in and then it's ultimately decided that an addition on the building is indicated, that if the walkway's in the way, it may hamstring what we do for an addition and vice versa. So I am reluctant to execute any of the parts until all the pieces are planned for.
So if the building was enlarged, are you saying that it wouldn't be contiguous with what's there already? It would maybe be on the forest side that would create an issue for this particular, walking path to be put in?
Well, my vision is it would be extended out from, let's say, the kitchen end of the building, for lack of a better description, over that parking lot, and then the sheds would have to be relocated if we extended the building, or maybe the things stored in the sheds would be in a storage area in the building. And then we also have to decide where the walkway is coming back through the woods, because it would go up. This has to be an access and an egress that are separate one from the other, because it'll only be 5 feet wide, 5 or 6 feet wide. So anyway, those things need to be planned all of a piece.
Okay. All right, I have one more, and that's just about Jeff and the air purifiers. What did he say? What was his advice? Because and is that going to be implemented, or because I know I come into the building for yoga and for exercise, and it's great to have those in there, and I don't know anything about them except they're running, and I don't know if we need anyway, I just wanted more information about
his advice was very simple: to have the instructors turn them up to maximum immediately before their classes, and to make sure the staff turns them back down, because it'll save the filters if they're not running on maximum overnight.
All right, so staff will
Or any group, and just turn it up prior to the group using the room, throughout the group's use of the room, maybe a half hour after, and then turn it back down.
So will the staff be responsible then for notifying the instructors to actually?
Yeah, we will do that as they come into the building. First couple of times, we'll show them how to do it. And then whoever closes the building up in the afternoon will check on the purifiers as they check windows and doors. Like yesterday, Jeff left all the windows open in the big room.
Okay.
So there's always an ongoing discussion on what needs to happen before you leave your room, kind of thing. Yep.
Yes, one more.
I'm sorry?
Fire away, Laura, fire away.
One more, and this is just, I was just, because we have had conversations about the attendance. It's been difficult for people to come back into the building. I was wondering if anybody on staff have contacted other COAs to see if they're dealing with the same issues, and if they have any other strategies that might be helpful to us to get people to attend, because there's good classwork that's going on, and there's been classes that should have had people in it that did not. And maybe we can get some good ideas from surrounding COA directors or staff members as to what they've done to.
It's something we talk about regularly, the COA directors, and people are having varying responses, but everyone that I have spoken to on the Cape in the last 6 weeks are having trouble populating their in-person activities, because people are listening to the health advisory and deciding not to participate. But now the numbers are going down, and the health advisories are saying you can participate safely. So I'm hoping that will help us as well as the other centers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Suzanne, I heard this morning, I don't know whether it's true or not, that the mask requirement has been eliminated in town. Is that
Okay,
true? And
well,
if so, how does that affect what's our policy in terms, or your policy in terms of mask wearing?
Well, the Board of Health voted to lift the mask mandate in publicly accessible buildings on Wednesday, the 9th, a week ago.
Okay.
However, the current select board does not accept the authority of the Board of Health to make these decrees. So they have to discuss it on their agenda before they make the pronouncement. So we're waiting for that. It may have happened last night, but I did not look at the select board meeting, tell you the truth, because they're happening weekly and,
It did not happen last night.
okay, thank you, Rebecca. Did they discuss it?
Nope, not even a little bit.
Okie doke. So that's the answer. We're hanging a fire, waiting for the select board to make their pronouncement.
We could all be dead of old age before that happens, you know, it's really
Well-
ridiculous.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah,
frustrating to not be able to just implement what seems to be the best practice based on science and the numbers that are out there and recommendations. However, as a department head, it is my responsibility to wait for that from the select board before anything is implemented.
I understand. I understand. Okay. All right. Any other folks have questions for Suzanne? Oh, Denya.
Last month, we discussed having until the sign is made to have a sandwich board or something in front of the COA. Is there some reason that that can't happen?
Well, unfortunately,
Something.
the sandwich board that I normally would use, which is a weatherproof folding plastic white thing, has doubled in cost. So rather than spend that money on something temporary, and since I will be responsible for paying for the 3 additional signs, I think my budgeted funds are better spent on permanent signs.
Is
You
there
can- you
another?
can-
Sorry.
Anyone is, Patty Marlborough put up her own yoga sign with my permission. So any of the teachers are totally able to put up, if they have signs that they're willing to put up there.
I have bought sandwich boards in the past for music, and they were under $100 to
They
get a
used to be.
decent.
Now they're
Okay.
$200.
Well, it is my personal opinion that our adult community center needs a sign of some sort, and that I'll just leave it at that. There must be a way to get a sandwich board. In fact, the churches, the local churches, have had sandwich boards in the past for their events. Maybe they'd be willing, since they're not having any events, to loan one to the Council on Aging.
That's a
I
good,
mean,
that's a good suggestion.
the
Because
community
it'd
center.
be short term and we would happily return it to them when our permanent sign gets up.
I would suggest contacting the Congregational and the Methodist Church to ask them if you can borrow their signs and put up just a sandwich board so that people, driving by say, "Oh, it's open, it's happening."
Okay, that's a good suggestion.
Laura.
No, I just as a follow-up on that, Suzanne, I know last time that we spoke, and I thought it was the greatest thing that there was a strategy that you had for us actually getting things followed through and articulated. So that sandwich board, I think is a great idea. And I think that there's enough traffic there going back and forth. I don't live in that neighborhood, but I do drive down that road just to see that, oh yes, there's yoga today, or oh yes, there's, Tai Chi. Is that something you will do?
I will do that. I'll take care of that. I can't tell you the timeline right now because if we're going to put signs out there, it means staff changing them on a daily basis, or maybe we put one sign out that has all the activities. So I want to talk to Terry and talk about what they see, the staff sees as the best strategy. One more thing to remember to do is a perfect recipe for somebody forgetting that they're supposed to do it. So I'd rather put something out there that advertises or notes the activities that are going on.
So then I guess just to so in my mind, you're going to contact the church or the 2 churches to see if you can borrow one. If you could borrow one, then you're going to work with staff to get somebody to actually put what needs to be up there for the day or for the week, even if it's big enough. And that will happen by.
Well, I will call the well, because I'm a member of the Congregational Church, I'm more comfortable reaching out to them. I'll call them today and see if I can borrow it. And then the weatherproof insert I will order from the sign company, and that way we can, and I think we can get a couple of them, so we can just switch them out.
All right, so and now I'm looking for that, just following that progression that you gave was so perfect. When will we know that this has happened? Or what would
I'll let you know when it's happened. I cannot tell you the timeline for the insert until I contact them today.
Okay, that's great. But so the contact will happen and then, okay, that'll fall. So,
And I think another piece here is something I've been neglectful of, is like when I do something that I'm asked to do by either the board or the friends, that I need to then reach out and say, this has been done, so everybody knows what's going on.
yeah, that's great. That sounds good. All right. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Suzanne.
You're welcome, Will.
Next item, the Friends, Evelyn.
Okay, well, from now on, Sarah Malter will be our rep. I see she's not able to be on today,
Yeah,
but
she's sick today. She
Oh,
sent me
okay.
an email.
okay. And anyway, the Friends met last week. I unfortunately had to be out of town, but Lillian Greenberg chaired very ably, and thank you, Will, for attending. That I think that was a good start on, even better communication between the Friends and the advisory board. And we have a meeting set up, a few of us with Diane Hall of VRs to really pick her brain about input. So how we can change up the Wellfleet Dines Out event, which has been so successful for the Friends. It has been our main fundraiser. And of course, we haven't been able to do it for the last 2 years, but VRs did step up last fall on their own initiative and, sent us a wonderful donation. So anyway, we'll look at her ideas and see how we can retool that event. And, we don't want to lose any momentum any more than we have over the last 2 years with so many things. So that'll be next Wednesday. The walking group attracted 15 walkers last Saturday. It was a beautiful day on a beautiful trail, and Laura made a terrific pitch for the programs of the ACC and at the beginning. And I think people really heard her, because Terry was nice enough to send me a copy of the email back and forth of one of the people who had never participated in anything and but did with the walk, and I think has become more engaged. So anyway, and also we were alerted that if we are going to walk trails on the conservation land, we need to get permission. And so that we learn something new every week. So we're just trying to keep that going and continue it as a successful program, COA program. And I think, Laura, you were there and you did the wonderful minutes, and Will, you were also, I don't know if you want to add any comments.
No, I thought it was a very fruitful meeting. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the signage issue, which we'll get to next. So I'll wait until you're done. We'll take that up next. But I thought it was a good meeting, and hopefully maybe we can meet jointly sometime. I think maybe that's on here too. Have the two boards join, because sometimes I assume you need folks to do things perhaps, and we do as well. So I think that could be a fruitful avenue for us.
Good. Okay, that's all I have to say, unless Laura has any additions.
No, it was great. You did that. I think it was great to have Wolf there. I thought it was a really good meeting too. A lot of good discussions and a decision to be made with Sarah being willing to share information back and forth. So it was very good.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is the signage one. And Steve, has Lillian heard anything further about pricing?
I'm going to defer to Evelyn because Lillian has been in contact with Evelyn about that. So Evelyn, do you want to pick it up?
Yeah, Lillian did, I think yesterday, get the quote back from Signage. I think that's the name of the company in Hyannis. And it was, she felt it was quite high for a sign that maybe wouldn't hold up. It was a plastic sign. And she really feels that we have to contact other sign makers on the Cape that can do a sign that will be wooden and lasting and serve our purposes. So I believe the quote was over $700 for one side, and it would be, of course, double that to have it a second side. And so she sounds like she spent a good part of yesterday. She has really worked hard on this issue and measuring signs and talking to people. She measured signs at Our Lady of Lourdes, their highway sign, as well as at Terps, which is a relatively new sign, and got additional information. But she really feels that other sign fabricators need to be contacted in order to get what we want at a price that is fair. And so that's kind of where we are. And from what I gathered from her discussion with me.
Yeah. I have no expertise on sign materials, but you know, when we say plastic, we think of flimsy, but there are plastics now that are more durable than wood. And wood, you know, is traditional, but also wood needs to be sealed, painted, repainted. It still rots. So I wouldn't dismiss automatically, you know, these hard styrene plastics, which are very durable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brian, the problem was this, and I, you know, from listening to Lillian talk to the people, and they quoted it on a fairly thin piece of plastic. And it's not that plastics per se are bad. It's just that the plastic they proposed for the 700, I think it was like $750 quote, was pretty flimsy.
Yeah.
So when she was thinking about double siding it and adding using a plastic which was more durable, a thicker plastic, we're starting to get in the $2,000 range, which she thought was a lot of money. So that's it's not that she rejected plastic, it's just that the particular quote was on, excuse me, a plastic that she thought was too flimsy to use.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And again, it's just a matter of the quality of the plastic that might be available. Might be.
So, you know, I from what I gathered too, Lillian has done a lot of design work, and she's got a beautiful design that I saw, and I think at the Friends meeting she showed it, and but she needs a company to work with that can work with her on this and, you know, can do a good job for us. And she didn't find that with Signage. So it needs some more exploration.
Yeah. Danielle.
I'm sorry if I asked this question last month too. Why a friends group has to pay for a sign for a town building. Why does the town not pay for the sign for a town building? Does anybody know?
Suzanne, can you address that? Or maybe she's not there anymore. Or
I'm
Terry?
here. Sorry, no, I'm here. In August of 21, when this first came up as a new sign, the discussion was had, and the Friends, and to my memory, said they would offer to pay for the sign. So I did not put it in my fiscal 23 budget request. So now if we wait, no matter what the cost of the sign is, and if it goes in my budget, it's a considerable cost. And it would have to wait until July 1st of 2023 before I would have funding to pay for it. So having said that, yes, in theory, the town should pay for it. The town pays for all the other signs, but I have to request it for my budget, and I do not have it in this year's budget or in request for fiscal 23.
Is that something that I don't really know how these things work, but I know that at town meeting, various people get up and say, can we change the amount of this to something else and let's vote on it? Is that possible, or am I living in my own dream world?
No, you're right, but usually it's a reduction. Any increase has to be in the warrant. You can't increase the amount in the warrant because people are not on notice of it when they come to town meeting that there is going to be an increase. So it has to be a decrease. Only
Okay.
is allowed. That's my understanding of town meeting. And Danny Silverman, if he tells me I'm wrong, I'd be happy to hear that. But that's always been my understanding.
It's logic.
And
It's logic.
right.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, and my only comment on signs, because in my prior life, I dealt with sign companies from time to time. Good signs are not cheap. And it may be that, hopefully with some other bids, we get the price down, but don't count on it.
Well, I'll say one thing, talking to Lillian. She was thinking about ways that we could produce a sign at a lesser cost. In other words, it might be a little, less elaborate than the original design, but it may be able to save some money. What we basically, I will make one comment to Evelyn. I think we need to go and discuss at the Friends meeting how much we're willing to expend on this thing. I think initially the thought was something in the $1,000 range, but if it goes to the $2,000 range, that, we don't have unlimited resources. And we just spent close to $2,500 on the air fresheners. And we're now going to be funding the concert coming up. So, I think we need to really, maybe Laura and Evelyn want to comment on this, but I think we need to bring it back to our board, or the Friends board, and discuss what kind of funding commitment is feasible for us. I don't know, Laura, Evelyn,
Terry, I'd like to recognize Terry has her hand up. Terry?
Hi, thank you. I
Yes,
just wanted a reminder regarding the sign price. I mentioned this at the Friends meeting, but obviously some people weren't there. The sign that we had prior to this was designed for us by a man named Joe DePasquale, who did several signs around town. That sign was beautiful. And he did the posts as well as the sign itself. And 20 some years ago, that sign was $600, and that was a discounted rate. So I think Will is right on to say that don't be surprised at how much this is going to cost for something that's a good quality and that will last. So I just wanted to put that reminder out there as a price point for 20 something years ago at a discounted rate.
Thank you.
Terry, do you know if that person is still in business making signs?
I wish he was. He has moved to Maine, unfortunately, and is no longer doing that. A few years ago, he replaced a sign for us, and he switched to a composite material that wasn't plastic, but it looks like wood when you look at it. He was able to do a sign for our house that looks like it's got a carved blue heron on it. And they're beautiful and they last. So it's some type of composite material. I don't know what it is, but it looks like wood and it's not plastic, and it's got much more staying power.
Okay, well, we already know that.
Okay,
Yeah, Lillian called that gentleman up.
and Steve,
I believe
Evelyn.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge Suzanne's comment about August of 21. I think we were very anxious to get a sign up with the new name and everything. And, I know that was said. Now that reality is hitting, we just have to figure out how we can do it. And, so because we certainly can't wait till July of 2023. And the sign is the old sign is down anyway. I mean, I think the nor'easter finally did that in, but so we will go back to the Friends Board, and and also there may be some local people that could help with this in terms of perhaps installing something that was purchased. Okay, I'll defer to Laura.
I just,
Laura?
we might think about cost sharing with the town for the sign, because I have to agree to, I think that the monies, the mission of the Friends is to provide extra funds for extra programs, not for portions of the senior center, but that commitment has been made. So maybe that would be something, there could be a cost sharing. So Suzanne could hold some of that and we could hold some of that too. I also think that the installation of the sign should be done by our town DPW, because that's their job in town, and we shouldn't have to recruit volunteers to do that. That would be my hope anyway, that's their job to manage those sorts of things. So anyway, just my thought on that. So,
Terry, did you have something else to add?
Yes, I did send a follow-up email to the Friends that I had contacted the DPW, and they will do the installation. They just need a little bit of a timeline or a little bit of advance notice so that they can plan it into their schedule, but they are happy to do the installation. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Will.
You're welcome. Yeah, and my only comment on the sign is Lillian, I saw what she's created. It's a really pretty sign, and I'd hate to skimp, for a couple of $100. It's worth, I think anyway, to have a nice looking sign. And so I like the design. I certainly would like to keep.
Well, you can't see me, but somebody mentioned cost sharing, and it seems to me that, okay, let's say the Friends say the most we could pay is X dollars, and there's a gap there. I mean, I can't believe some funds can't be found somewhere in the town budget to pay that few extra dollars, couple of $100 extra to do it. So that may be a solution we should try to pursue. And I agree with you. Whoever said the cost sharing, I think that could be a way forward.
Yeah, I mean, so Evelyn, maybe if the Friends could come up with a figure that they're willing to pay, let me know, and maybe we can find someone or a couple of people that can just write a check for the balance. I suspect I can find someone that will write a check.
I guess we could. Yes, I agree with that. We could make a little donation, but I don't see why the town should kick in some money. I mean,
but that doesn't mean the Friends should be skimpy, however,
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I think it has taught me that one shouldn't promise without getting more facts. So
we all
lesson
make
learned.
mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if unless someone has something else to add, I'd like to move on to the Toast and Jam concert. Okay. So Laura isn't here today, but I mean, that Laura is, there's two of, but Sarah's not. Don't mind. My mind is gone. So Laura, why don't you address what was said at the Friends meeting in terms of toast and jam?
Yeah, I think that Sarah had spoken to Tim Dickey, and he had said he would be available on the 21st, and their cost for that would be $800. And I had conversations with someone who knows a lot about this, and said that perhaps that the Friends should, instead of asking, should set a certain amount that we can afford to pay for musicians, and that it should be probably equitable. You know, we're hoping to do maybe a series of concerts, that it should be about the same for each group, so it's equitable amongst that. And then we had discussions about, which rightly so, that musicians, you know, they work hard and they deserve to have, you know, a good paycheck for coming and providing those, you know, wonderful services for us. So I don't think there was any determination about, you know, if that was too much, if it was not enough, or if it was enough. Sarah was going to call Tim, because we had questions too about how many musicians it would be, if it would be 2 musicians or 3 or 4 or 6, or so she was going to call Tim and get a number, so we know how many musicians, and it might make that $800 seem a little bit, you know, more reasonable. But that was the discussion. I think at our next meeting we'll probably get some information about that. And I know that today you're hoping to form a committee to do some investigating too, and planning for these sorts of events. So, well, but that unless, oh, Evelyn, you weren't there. So that's basically what it was, is a question about the cost, and the Friends are, you know, willing to certainly to put money towards that, maybe the whole $800. But I think there was just a question as to how many musicians would be involved in that. But
yes, I did hear from Sarah, and she has not heard back from Tim. So she had make that outright, but she that outreach, but she hadn't heard back. But I'm sure she will by the time the Friends meet next. So when are the Friends meeting next? When is
March the 9th, and March the
wait a second, I have it here on
12th, I think. It's 4 you know, it was 4 weeks from the last meeting.
okay?
The 9th is the second Wednesday of March.
Okay, then it's the 9th.
Okay, all right. The
So
next item.
that's just a couple of weeks. Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is the article in the Provincetown Independent. And I know, Suzanne, you reached out to them and haven't heard back. Can you give us whatever information you have?
Sure, I have. I did reach out to Casey Myers, and she did respond and say, wow, what's different about the Adult Community Center than from when it was the Wellfleet Senior Center? So I outlined a few high points, like our later afternoon class opportunities, and you know, air filters and nothing. And then Evelyn sent me an email yesterday that said that Ed Miller would be reaching out to me. So maybe I should turn this over to Evelyn.
Well, I just know that that is what I had heard, because really Steve can report on this, and you know, I think that would be great if he did.
Okay. Suzanne, when you said that you never got a response from, or we heard Terry actually reported that at the last, excuse me, Friends meeting. I've sort of gotten pretty friendly with Ed, and I wrote him back and said, you know, we had discussed this, and you know, that you had made this call, Suzanne, and got no response, and I sort of outlined some of the stuff that's being done, and could we have somebody call back Suzanne to, or if she's not around, Terry, to set up some sort of meeting. And he responded very favorably. He said, yes, I think it's a great idea. He seemed to be very interested in a walking group. We sent him a description about the walking group. So if you don't hear from him in a couple of days, let me know and I'll bug him again. But he seemed to be very favorably disposed toward writing something about us.
Yeah. The way you described it, Evelyn, or Suzanne, that Casey was looking for a hook or LED
Yes.
lead.
Uh-huh.
And so I think they might bite on this hook, namely that the principal purpose of this was the expansion of the demographics of the services that would be available there. That is getting much larger, and even make a sort of play on the a joke a bit again of that the seniors refuse to be acknowledged that they're seniors, so they don't come. So we're trying to get other people to come,
Especially boomer seniors.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I will look forward to his call, Steve, and if I don't hear by Friday, I'll reach out to you and let you know.
Okay, and I'll be happy to, just give them a little, or just send them a message that we haven't heard from anybody.
Yeah, I can. You can always share my cell phone with him so that he doesn't have to cram his contact with me into the 8 to 4 Monday through Friday thing.
Okay, great.
And I think that hook idea that Brian just mentioned is a good one, because I can remember being a younger senior when I first moved up here full time, and I really had to get over myself to participate in programs. And I've told people that, and then I learned how good it was for me and how much I enjoyed it. But there is a barrier there with that name, so that would be.
Yeah, there definitely is. There definitely is.
Yeah. So.
Okay, next item, we've dealt with Denya joining the board. So let's go to the formation of the, Laura, did you have your hand up?
No, I was just glad that we have a new member of our board. I was giving around.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll formally, since you're not a member of the board yet, next month we will formally acknowledge you, Denya. So the formation of the entertainment committee. Denya, do you want to talk about that, since that seems to be your bailiwick?
Oh, I didn't know I had a bailiwick.
You do
that's
play
a big
an instrument, which I do not.
So I'm willing to be on a committee. I, at this point, cannot chair anything. I have too much on my plate. So I'm willing to be on a subcommittee, and somebody else would need to chair a subcommittee, or we don't have a chair for a subcommittee. But I have too many ideas, as you can imagine.
You need too many ideas. That's good.
I have too many ideas.
My Army days, I shouldn't volunteer for anything. But as a former musician, I'd be happy to serve on a committee. And like I say, I played for many years. So, maybe I could add a little something.
What did you play?
Well, I played in classical orchestras. I played miscellaneous percussion, and then timpani, and I played in a lot of jazz groups. I played drums, and I also played I used to work in resort hotels and so forth. So drums, miscellaneous percussion.
Okay.
I was starting to learn how to play the vibes. I could play a little blues on them, but I never did any better than that. Okay.
Steve, would you be willing to chair the committee?
Well, if they need a chair, I'll be the chair. But I'm going to defer to Denya on, because her knowledge of the local music scene is much greater than mine. But I'll if you need a formal chair, I'll be happy to be there.
Good. Unless someone else wants the job, I'm about to appoint Steve.
Point, Steve.
Laura, I'm looking at you there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to be on that committee to be a helper.
Okay.
I'm not a chairperson. I'm
Okay.
overwhelmed too.
All right. So I think three is a good number. I don't want to make it too many. Then you just have trouble getting everyone together, unless someone else wants to be on it. I mean, I don't want to, eliminate someone that might wish to partake. But I don't see any hands going up. So Steve will chair it. Denya and Laura will be members of it. And then I guess we talked about number of concerts and funding. I guess the Friends need to, since the money for this is going to come from the Friends, can Evelyn, you put that on your agenda?
I'll put it on the agenda because I really think that we have to, carefully weigh exactly how much it will cost. And
oh yeah, of course, yeah. Denya.
I keep losing my internet connection here, so I didn't catch what Evelyn said. But when you said that the Friends need to do the funding, I personally cannot see why you can't ask for donations as well. Or, I mean,
Just lost
there's
her again.
many ways to pay for things. You don't have to just pay outright.
Yeah.
But
We
that's
get
a lot.
donations, Denya. We just
Oh,
got
I
a
like that.
very nice one
that's what
from
the
Dr.
committee
Campo for $500. So we do get. Last year we got maybe $4,000 in donations, and plus with the Wellfleet Dines Out,
Can't
that's
hear him.
another big source. So we do get money from other sources.
I think Denya probably means admission to the typical event donation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can remember when the library did tea and toast Saturdays, and there was no admission fee, but there was always a donation basket to help defray the cost of the musicians who they engaged. So I don't see why we couldn't do that.
No.
Denya, you're
muted.
you're muted. Denya, you're muted.
I keep losing the connection. I'm sorry. I mean, I think before, are you all? No.
We
Yes,
hear
Can
you.
you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I think it would be useful to let the committee talk about funding, not just assume that the Friends are going to cover it. There are other ways to get funding, including donations, a tiny sliding scale admission, sliding scale, $1 to $10 a person. And nobody looks at how much somebody puts in there. Okay. There's just all these other ways of funding. So we shouldn't assume that the Friends have to, do the whole thing.
No, I agree,
Yeah,
but that's why we formed the committee.
I guess as chair of the
Steve,
committee, I think it's a great idea. So we'll go and pursue
it. Yeah, that's what the committee's job is going to be.
Yeah.
Can I ask Suzanne a question? If our little committee wants to meet without going through all the rigmarole, is that legal or is that against the rules?
I'll pretend it's a social meeting and you can meet here.
Okay, so I'll invite everybody to our home and we'll have some cheese and crackers and a nice bottle of wine and we'll have a social meeting.
Okay,
great.
Brian's joining. We need you, Brian. Come on.
And if Brian would like to come, it's all the better.
Okay, that's great. So we'll see what happens on that front. And then the last substantive issue is the discussion of the walking path with exercise stations. Laura, would you like to address your?
Oh, yeah, well, we had talked a little bit about that earlier with Suzanne, my question to her.
Okay, so
really
have
good.
we, have you dealt with your, I know you had questions you wanted me to add it. So you
Right.
think those have been adequately addressed?
I think they have, because Suzanne explained the process of the either going through town or the grant and why that hadn't been done before. So anyway, unless somebody else has a question or something they want to know, I kind of think she's given us a little, information about the potential, and it looks like it'll be a ways out, and hopefully there'll be a grant that's written for some of it, but it sounds as if until they know what they're going to do with building expansion, she doesn't want to go down that road because she doesn't know where to place the walking path. So anyway.
Okay, all right. And that's the end of the agenda. Is there anything else someone would like to discuss? Evelyn?
Just a quickie to let the board members know that I have submitted my resignation because I would have finished my third 3-year term in June anyway, and I wanted to make the opportunity for new members to come in. I will remain active on the Friends, and I really have appreciated my time with this advisory committee. I think, it's made some wonderful progress, and it's great working with all of you and with the staff, Suzanne and Terry and the other staff of the COA. So anyway, just to let you know, after this meeting, I'm off, but you'll still have good representation from the Friends, and this will allow additional people to come in and give their promote new ideas, new ways of approaching things, which I think is very healthy on any board. So thank you all. That's
Well, thank you for your many years of service.
Thank you.
And in that regard, I have contacted Judith, who is with us today, and she's going to submit her name to the select board. Judith, would you?
You have a good.
Filled out the paperwork, and I guess I have to wait for the board to approve me or not.
Yes.
I'd like to say something about the select board and the approval. I sat through 4 hours of their meeting, which I found very interesting. My name was at the very beginning, okay? They never said my name. And at the end, I put up my hand when they were finishing and I said, are you going to, and they said, oh, you've already been approved, okay? So you need to know, you need to check in with somebody if you're going to go to this board and either raise your hand at the beginning or know that if it says the word consent, they don't have to bring up your name.
Oh, wow. That's
It was a fascinating meeting, but you don't have to sit through 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
Three, I'm sorry. I think it was 4. It went on forever.
Oh, it was 4. You came on at the very.
Thank you, Suzanne, for backing me up.
Technically
It was
4 hours
4.
and 15 minutes.
All right. Laura.
I just wanted to thank Evelyn. It's such a privilege to have you here with us and all the good work. Seriously, so you got to listen. You're an incredible human being. You have such diplomacy and kindness, and everything you do is just really been top notch. So I will miss you completely being here, and I'm so glad that you're still beyond the Friends, because I'm so grateful to know you and to have watched you work, and to now have you in my circle of friends as well. So thank you for everything you do for the town and for just being who you are. So thank you.
Can I second that?
Yes.
Evelyn has done such a fantastic job with the Friends, really revitalized the organization. It's a privilege to work with you, Evelyn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry.
I'm overwhelmed here.
I just wanted to say the same thing, Ev. I'm glad you got over yourself and came into our building, because your walking through the door made a big difference for everybody here, and we really appreciate you. And I'm glad you're going to stick around. Thank
You'll
you for
see-
being
you'll
such
see
an
plenty of
ambassador
me.
for us.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
Okay.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. So,
All righty. The
One more,
next,
Will, if I could interrupt here just
oh,
for a
sure, by
minute.
all means, by all means, sorry.
While we're thanking Evelyn, I want to thank both the friends through Evelyn, who brought us delicious cupcakes on Valentine's Day, and the board who delivered candies for Valentine's Day. It was much appreciated. The staff felt noticed and welcomed. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
glad we could do it. So,
Okay, the next meeting is 9 AM on March 16th. So let's put that on our calendars. And I would, I always send out the notice of the meeting. And some people are very prompt in getting back, but there are a few stragglers. But the reason why I'd like to know is just so I know we have a quorum for the for the meeting, which we haven't had a problem with that, but it's just nice to get a proper reply. So do I hear a motion to
Well,
adjourn? What's
well,
that?
Well,
Brian.
I'm coming to you this morning from Washington, DC through the wonders of Zoom. But on the 16th of March, I plan to be in Dublin, Ireland. It will be a little trickier.
that's
I'll be
great.
there for St. Patrick's Day, but given the time difference, I could manage that. I think it would be just in the middle of the afternoon. But I'll have to know if I have an internet connection or not.
That's fine. That's fine.
And I'll be there. I'll see you.
Okay, all right. Right.
That's
Do I
awesome.
do?
Oh, too. We all want to go to Dublin with you.
Yeah.
I need somebody to carry my bags.
Oh, all right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to.
Okay, Laura, all in favor? Aye, aye, aye.
Aye, aye,
All
aye.
right, see you all. Thank
Thanks,
you
Will.
for attending.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Leave.